Welcome to the first Mum Entrepreneurs guest speaking recording video for the Central Coast, enabling you to be supported, inspired and connected as a mum in your entrepreneurial world. Firstly, before we meet our guest speaker, I would just like to share some information about Mum Entrepreneurs Group, just in case you are watching this and you have no idea what it's about. It is one of the most supportive business networking groups that originally started on the Northern Beaches. The co-founders, Beexx and Diana, just started the two of them, catching up for casual coffee and playground dates, talking about their business, then took it to the online world, then growing to the point where their first coffee meetup with their members from the online world took over the whole of Gloria Jean's. It was totally packed out. The Me Group is about mutual support, information sharing, networking and growing your business. We know that work for mums have different challenges. So Diana and Beexx developed a business network that runs not only with live events, but through Facebook groups that now hold over 500 members in total. Their main purpose is to help you overcome challenges that might occur juggling 3 or 4 hats in our entrepreneurial world. They believe that women should have all the choices in the world and that you should be able to raise your kids on your terms while still building your career and bringing home the bacon. It's tough. It's really, really, really tough. And most work-at-home mums feel alone and a bit overwhelmed sometimes. So that is why they are about bringing together women to support each other and grow businesses together. So, who am I? I'm Bianca, but everyone calls me B, and I'm the Central Coast Area Manager for the Mum Entrepreneurs Group. When the opportunity became available to be a part of this group, it seemed like synergy, for I was of the same beliefs. I too am a mum of 2 beautiful daughters aged 7 and 4, along with what I call my entrepreneurial career world of not one but two parts of looking after 2 businesses. Today though, I'm honoured to be hosting the first ever Central Coast Mum Entrepreneurs guest speaking video. So, no more of me talking, okay? I can talk underwater. So let's not waste any time and introduce our first ever guest speaker, Dr. Christy Goodwin, the founder of Every Chance to Learn, a business that she has turned from passion to purpose for parents, trying to keep up with the digital world of children and technology. Hi, Christy, and welcome.
Hi, B. Thank you.
That's okay. Oh, it's so exciting.
Let's hope the technology works.
I know. We've had about 3 takes. So the topic that we're covering for this is the convo is birthing your business. So what I would love to make you all aware of before we dig in is that it does not matter whether you're at idea, start, middle or pro phase of your business. At some point, as we know and have experienced as mothers, when you have created something, you have to give birth to it for it to actually come alive. Once we've given birth, we all know too well that we all hear what everyone's stories are of who, what, where, and, how to, be the best parent and what to do for your child. As time goes on, we get some things right, we get some things wrong. But at the end of the hard parenting day, we learn our own lessons from our own birthing stories and from our own parenting stories. Now, how does this relate to us mum entrepreneurs and mumpreneurs? Well, when you think about it, the same applies to our business. We have an idea, create, then give birth by announcing it to the world, except we don't have to go through the 9 months and, of course, for some, the horrendous labour. And as we already know, the same story goes that once we announce the birth of our business and we tell everyone, hey, guess what, I've got a business, we hear all the do's and don'ts to do the best we can in our business and try this and do this and did you know about this? But once again, we get some of it rolling right and some of it going woefully wrong through our own lessons and our own stories once again. The beauty of business, though, is that you can rebirth your business, make changes, revamp, recourse, do the whole redirection, whatever it is. And we're going to hear the lovely Dr. Christy Goodwin share her practical ideas and personal experiences that have enabled her to birth and, of course, rebirth her business that she now loves, and one that serves both her young family and herself. She will also share 10 things she wished she knew before she birthed her business, allowing those that are either at start, fresh, or about to birth their business know a little bit more. But I'm sure that even if you have already birthed a business, you can still implement whatever she's going to share. So thanks, Christy, and I've done heaps of talking. So let's move on and let's hear how you birthed a business, 2 babies, and yourself in the process.
Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to actually pause and to actually reflect. I think as busy working mums, we're often checking things off the to-do list, and we never ever take a moment to actually stop and pause and reflect on what we've accomplished and what we've done. And actually preparing for this talk gave me that really precious opportunity to actually stop and think about what it is that I have done, what I've accomplished, and most importantly, so that I can share with you what I've learnt. As you mentioned in the introduction, I think the minute you fall pregnant, you hear everybody's horror stories about birth and about the impending sleepless nights that you're going to encounter. And we often hear all the tedious, trivial parts. And I think that as an entrepreneur, it's great to actually pause and think about what you have learned and what you have acquired along the way, not just the warts and all version. That I think we need to hear the good parts and the not so good parts so that we can collectively learn from that. So I'm hoping that's what I can share with you today. I actually started my business about 3 months before I fell pregnant with my first son. So I literally have birthed a business and a baby, and much like giving birth to a child, birthing a business and maintaining a business is really damn hard work. And I love that you acknowledged that. I think too often this mumpreunr term is often thrown around, and it's a bit like I often think of it a bit like the Johnson & Johnson baby commercials, where you see the sweet smelling baby and all the lovely connotations that you'll be able to work your own hours and you'll be there for your children. And
I so totally hear you.
The warm and fuzzy aspect of being a mumpreunr is often conveyed. And don't get me wrong, that is actually why I did start my business. I realised that I wanted a business that would enable me to be the mum that I wanted to be. So that really is the impetus behind starting my business. But I think we need to peel back the layers, and that's where really honest conversations and groups like this can be fantastic, because you can have that really transparent, honest conversation about the hard yakka that also goes into running a business, so that you can have the days off that you need to with your sick children, and that you can have the flexibility. But it's not the Johnson & Johnson baby ad version style only. So I think
that's such a good way of putting it. I love that.
Yeah, and I think I mean, as women, I mean, no one. For example, feeding. When you're feeding a baby, no one ever tells you that breastfeeding is going to be bloody painful to begin with and damn hard. And it's not until you're thrust into that moment and you think there's something wrong with you, but it's just that we've glossed over and we've romanticised, I think, the notions of what it is to feed a baby, much the same way with being a mumpreunr. So I'm here to raise my hand and say there are days that I find it really hard. But having said that, I often think my hardest day as an entrepreneur or a mumpreunr is by far better than a bad day in an office or a cubicle. So the payoff is definitely there, and it is worth persevering with. So I literally birthed my business before my first son was conceived, and the parallels between birthing and running a business are really strong. It is hard, as I've said, but and it's painful at times. You want to tear your hair out. You think you're going crazy, but you learn so much about yourself. And I think that's the privilege of being a mum, that it's a huge personal discovery, and so too is birthing your business. And it really is the best of both worlds, being a mumpreunr. Yes, you still get to invest in your own personal development and your accomplishment. You have that success, and as you said in the introduction, you can still bring home the bacon, because that's really important in this current economic climate. But you also get to be the mum that you want to be. And I think if you only take this from tonight, this would be a really important message, that before or whatever stage you're at in your business, it's really important to conceptualize what success and what being a mumpreneur looks like to you. Define it on your terms. And I think be really clear on what it means for you to be successful, because being successful probably doesn't mean working 40 hours a week. It probably doesn't mean being at home full time with your kids. It really has to be a unique definition for what works for you and your family and your business too. So I think we get so caught up in figuring out, a successful business is one that earns 6 figures, or a successful business is one that comes with prestige or social, public recognition or press coverage. And it really isn't. It's being successful is what success looks like on your terms. So I think that's really important. So I thought
that is so, I love how you shared that. That so kind of made my heart jump like a few times, because it's because you end up comparing yourself, don't you? You know what I mean?
You do,
and kind of thinking, oh, well, is that what success is? And, well, if that means it to her, but that's great. Identifying just what success actually means, successful means to you, and what it looks like to you is, that's really important. That's fantastic.
And I think often as mumpreneurs, we often compare ourselves to other entrepreneurs who may or may not be mums. Yeah. And too often we get caught up in, I should be earning 6 figures, or I need to be working more hours, or I need to run out, I need to run an e-course, or I should be doing this. And the shoulds really bog us down. And we never ever know, really, we only ever see everybody's highlight reels, particularly on social media. So we don't know the back end story. And people are always also, particularly mumpreneurs, are at different stages of being a mum. If you're with a newborn baby, your business needs to take on a totally different shape to what another mumpreneur has who has teenage children. It's just different, and that's again what success looks like at each of the different stages of being a mumpreneur. It will morph and change too. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
I just wanted to peel back when I actually stopped, and as I said, it was a real blessing to have the time to actually stop and pause. I came up with 10 things that I wished I'd known. So I'm doing.
I know. I'm really sorry, Christy. I've gone actually 10 steps ahead. So if you just want to let me know when to change the slide.
No, I will. I will. That's all right. That's fine. No. We're doing this remotely.
Terrific.
So these are the sorts of things, when you were pregnant, that you got the Johnson & Johnson romanticized version of what being a parent would be like. Either that or you got the horror stories. I want to give you the best of both of those worlds. So I'm not going to share, of course, all the horror stories, but the lessons that I've learned so that other people can perhaps benefit from them. Or perhaps it's just that simple nodding your head saying, oh, I'm in this position too, that reassurance that you're not the only one. So the first one I wanted to start with was it's how important it is to actually invest in yourself and your business. You really have to financially and with time as well. I've done a whole lot. I came from an educational background, so I had no real business acumen. And so what I decided to do was to invest in a lot of business courses. And being a mum, I don't have time to go to face-to-face courses. So much like we're doing this evening, I enrolled in a lot of online courses and did a lot that way. And I've done some absolutely fantastic online courses in a whole range of areas. I've done something called B-School, which some of you may be familiar with. Marie Forleo runs a wonderful online business school program. I've done some copywriting courses. I've done this year I did an e-course all about packaging your services. I've done a course on how you can create e-courses. I've done a bookkeeping course. So all these wonderful ways to upskill. But I've also developed a whole lot of interest in personal development, and I'll touch on that in a little bit more detail as we go through. But I think it's really important as a mumpreneur that you have to be both a dreamer and a doer. You really have to get that balance right. So you still need to do your spreadsheets, but you can do your spreadsheets and your vision board as well. And I think that's really, really important, that you do need to know your numbers and that have that business acumen behind you, but you need to have that big picture vision as well.
Okay, do you mind me asking you a question with
Go
that?
Please,
when you're saying with how you've got all these courses that you actually did, would you you say that, and obviously that was at the beginning when you were birthing your business, is that correct? Or
No.
or you still do it?
Absolutely. I'm a bit of a course junkie. And that comes down to me as well. I have this intrinsic love of learning. Like there's nothing that lights me up more. I'm a born nerd and happy to admit it. And so I love learning. So anything that I can do, whether it be for my business or for personal development too, I'm still, I'm midway through courses now. And it changes again because your business changes, your needs for professional learning change too. So, but definitely having that online capacity, most of the courses that I download, or I access now, you can download the MP3, recording of the workshop, and you can whack it in your headphones and listen to it while you're driving or when you go off for a run.
And you can do it at your own time, is that correct?
Absolutely. All of the courses I've done have an online component, so you can access it anywhere, anytime. Most of them have a download version too, so that you can download it and access it once the course has finished, for want of a better word, and other courses have lifetime access. And the good thing with that is that so for example, I did a Facebook ads course, an online course, and because you get lifetime access with that, because Facebook changes all the time, the workshops get uploaded and upgraded to keep on top of things too. So
right. Well, I'm glad I've got pen and paper because I've just written down a few courses that you just mentioned.
Oh, and I'm happy to give you a list because I have spent a lot of money on different courses, and
good investment.
It really
for yourself
is.
And your business.
Absolutely, and do both. I think you can get caught too much in the business side of things, and I think that you really also need to invest in your personal development too. So I'll get to that as well.
Great.
So
do you want me to change the slide?
Yes, please. Number 2, that was perfect timing.
Yes.
Is to, and this is I think for all women, not whether you're a mumpreunr or not, is to be gracious in accepting help and actually to do it, and to ditch the guilt when you do accept help. Accept and even ask for help, I should probably add there. I don't know if you've ever said it, but I often say I'd love myself a wife. And
Good one.
And sometimes I really genuinely would. I look at all the different things, the myriad of things that mums accomplish, particularly mumpreunrs, running a house and looking after kids and managing a business. It is an absolutely mammoth accomplishment. So Annabelle Crabb, who's just released a book called The Wife Drought, she's made a comment, and it really stuck with me. She says she hopes that we are the last generation of women who've come to think that we're lucky if we get support from family in our professional life, that it should just be taken for granted, that if we are going to be working women, that we do need support. And at the moment, it's sort of seen like a luxury or an added extra. You're really lucky if you get support or if your husband's on board. But the family dynamics change, so you really do need that help. And I'm going to be really honest here. As working mums, I think we've convinced ourselves that we should do it all. And I love this saying, don't ever let anybody should on you. Pinky McKay often says that. Don't ever let anyone should on you. And we don't need to do it all. And you can't do it all. I know that I've tried early on when I had my first baby and my business. I did try to do it all because I thought that's what being successful was, that I could be the ultimate business owner and the ultimate mum and the ultimate wife and friend. And I'll be really honest, it was a flop, a complete flop. It was a flop for me. It was a flop for my family. It was a flop for my husband, and it was a flop for my business. No one won.
Do you mind me asking, you've got 2 beautiful boys, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. And did that shift kind of happen more so when the second child came along?
Absolutely. Look, before he came along, I knew with my firstborn, so I've got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and with my 4-year-old, I gradually realised that his demands, as his energy demands were increasing, that it obviously impacted, and you've only got so many finite hours a day of time that you can devote to your work. I really did realize that had some sort of impact on how much work I could get done. I'm one of these crazy people who gets up super early in the morning, so I get up at either 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
I know, but that's my time, and I fire on all cylinders at that time of the day. You're lucky that I'm stringing a coherent sentence together here, because nighttime's usually my switch off time. But yeah, I really
But in
realised.
saying that, you actually started to accept the help. That's what you're trying to kind of let us know now, that that's what helps at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And so I've done, and it doesn't always have to be pay, sometimes if you can afford it, and that's wonderful, paid help is great, whether it be a cleaner, and you've got to figure out the opportunity cost. What is it? What's your hourly rate as a business owner? And what if that's your hourly rate, if you're spending 2 or 3 hours a week cleaning, you've got to do the sums, and that's really not a smart use of your time. So accepting help, whether it be paid help. But I did a wonderful thing I did with another mumpreneur that worked brilliantly. We used to do babysitting swaps. So I'd have her son
That's a great idea.
for 4 hours one day, and then the 2 days later she had my son for 4 hours. So it gave me, and as a mumpreneur, it's like winning the jackpot, that 4 hours of chunk work time. And I heard someone say this once, there's no better productivity system than the toddler nap. And it is so true. You are never more productive than when you know you've got a short amount of time. So babysitting swaps work well, whether it's organised childcare or just asking people
do you
for
mind me
help.
asking, so you did that with
A friend.
Yeah, do you mind me asking, so you did that with another mum entrepreneur?
Yes.
Or with a friend?
No, she was a friend that was a mum entrepreneur. So we agreed because we were both tearing our hair out, saying I can't get any work done.
And you would be both from the same worlds as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you'd be both from the same worlds. What a great idea.
On the same page.
Yeah, so she'd appreciate it and you'd appreciate hers. Yeah, that's a really great idea. I love it.
So that worked really well. I've since learnt how to graciously accept help when it's offered, and also to ask for help. So I have no qualms now ringing my mum or my dad or my mother-in-law or father-in-law and saying, I really need a little bit of help. I'm really bogged down with this. And it's really quite, so at first I thought, they're going to think I'm a failure because I'm asking for help, and they're actually tickled pink that they're involved and that you've sought their help. So that's worked really well. Another tip in this accepting help is I actually sat down with a weekly planner with my husband and actually mapped out what I call work hours, because as a mumpreneur it's so easy to sneak back onto the computer when everyone's in bed, or weekend times, quickly flip open your laptop lid and jump on and do some more work. So I actually had to have some strict work hours, because otherwise you feel like you're always working. So it really gave me some clear lines of demarcation between work and home. So definitely asking and seeking help, and knowing that that's not, remember, coming back to that whole idea of what does success look like for you. Is it being a burnt out mess, or is it being someone that's productive and happy and serving everybody that they need to?
Yeah.
So my third tip now is, and please keep asking questions. And this sounds really, really important as mumpreneurs. You said this. You said this in the introduction, and it can be, being a mum can be isolating, but being a mumpreneur can be even more isolating, because people often think you just spend your day on Facebook. Is that what a lot of mumpreneurs do? And that's totally, we all know that.
My husband thinks that 24/7.
Yeah, not the case at all. So simple things like you've got here in this community, join networking groups, join Facebook communities, so that you can really grow your mindset. And I'm going to talk about mindset later on. But just know, Tony Robbins talks a lot about belief and how that really is the ultimate determinant of the success of your business, matched obviously by your effort, but really belief is critical. So if you surround yourself by really motivated and enthusiastic and passionate people, as well as people that are mums that have that realistic, grounded element about what's really achievable as a mum, I call them digi friends, and I've made some absolutely wonderful digi friends that I literally call upon. I'm meeting, I've got a Skype meeting, well, not a meeting, a Skype chat tomorrow with a friend that I have made in Honolulu.
Wow.
And it has all been, I did one of her online courses, and we've become really good friends as a spin-off from that. And it is literally a digital relationship. But we, in terms of helping with our business, but also being a mum. And it is wonderful. We have, we're brainstorming, we're masterminding sessions for our 2015 tomorrow, which is brilliant. And all thanks to things like Skype. So really important. I mentioned this, networking, especially with other working mums, because it's really important to have that realistic element. I've also joined some mastermind groups, and that works really well for accountability and also building your business acumen as well.
Can you explain to us all? Are you going to explain that later, or
no? I'm happy to explain it here. So they're
what's
paid.
mastermind?
Well, a mastermind group is like a business networking group, but they're usually, not always. Usually it's a paid group. So it's a group that of similar like-minded people, where there might be some training. So the masterminds I'm part of, there's a monthly training focus. So you might focus on social media, you might focus on branding. It will have some sort of direct focus for the month, and you get digital training, so it's like mini e-courses, I guess. But then we have Skype calls once a month, and we also have accountability partners. So it really is just like a group of.
It sounds like an online e-course, like
it is, but it's got that.
But it's a bit more casually, as far as going to doing a course with TAFE online or e-learning from home. But it's a bit more casual. But Absolutely. It sounds really similar. Is that right?
It is, but it's got that accountability level too. So you have to be tracking your progress, and you have to be reporting back. You set your goals for the next week, and you have to track back online. So I found that really helpful, and out of that I've gained, and out of the 2 mastermind groups, I've gained accountability buddies in those, and that's worked really well. Just having someone, whether it be just
accountable,
and flick a quick text message that this is how I'm feeling. I'm literally in the middle of a launch at the moment. I'm launching a Minecraft product for parents, and I've texted my accountability partner a couple of times saying, I'm really worried about this. I'm not quite sure this is right. Could you test this out? Can you have a look at this? And it's just nice to have someone who knows what you're doing and can be, I guess, like that digital cheer squad for you.
And as you've said with what it says with number 3 is you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, and that grows. And just on that, and this is a bit of a negative one, but I think it is so important. And I truly mean this in a positive way, but don't share your business ideas with friends and family all the time. And the reason that I say this is not because it will bore them or drive them crazy. That's certainly not why I'm saying it, is that you may not get the sort of feedback that is accurate. So you might be sharing a wonderful business idea with your family or friends, and they may not see it as a wonderful idea. Reason being is they may not be a business expert, but they're also probably not your ideal client. They're probably not your ideal customer.
Great point.
And it can go the other way. You can have friends and family that want to be your ultimate cheerleader, so they might tell you something is fantastic. For fear of, but they're not if they're not your ideal client, and they don't have a business perspective, they could actually be giving you the wrong sort of advice. So that was when I first heard that, I thought, you need your family and your friends to cheer you on, but I can actually see now logically why that's probably not the best thing to do.
And so you want your family and your friends you want that relationship with them where you can actually shut off from work. You want to be able to nurture that relationship without talking about work all the time. Yeah, totally agree. That's a great one.
Yeah. So number 4, and I really wished I'd known this, and especially it would have made birthing a subsequent baby a lot easier, was because you become so much more time poor with number 2, is to set up systems. And I never did this, so please learn from my mistake. And what I found is that I'm constantly chasing my tail. You're chained to email constantly. So I'm spending a lot of time, I know, on non-income generating work. So the tedious admin side of your business, coming up with systems. So, even a simple thing, having online calendars where people can book in to make appointments and schedule, whether you use something like Time Trade or Satori, I know is another one that people often use. Figure out a flow chart. How do clients, or how do you sell your products? What's the flow chart or the sequence of events? And then coming up with systems that will let you get that done. Another tip as a mum, also as a mumpreneur, is to batch tasks together. So literally chunking similar sorts of tasks all together at the same time. So whether for me, that means I schedule all my social media, in the wee hours of Monday morning, just so it's done and I don't need to touch it again.
And that would be done for the whole week.
Whole week. Okay? And it's Facebook, it's Twitter, I can't, I don't yet have the capacity to use the Instagram for that purpose, but definitely Facebook and Twitter, they're scheduled. And that doesn't mean I don't go in other times to check on it and respond, but I'm not writing posts and I'm not uploading pictures. It's all done for the week. Other ideas there is having, whether you write blogs, if you have to regularly write your blog content, literally batching that, doing several blog posts in a day. Or even having dedicated chunking time for your email and saying I'm going to spend 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon, and I'm going to batch all my emails, as opposed to having your email browser open and pinging at you throughout the day. There's a whole lot of neuroscience behind that too, but we'll get to that another time.
Oh, yeah, that sounds interesting.
I forgot to tell you, that's really my area of interest, but we can get to that at the end.
Yep,
so number 5 is to so definitely set up systems. And once you've set up systems, it's really important to have really clear parameters and lines of demarcation between when it's work and when it's playtime, when it's time to be mum, because I think as mums, it's too easy to get caught up in the busyness of business. And to lose sight of the fact that you probably are in business to support your family, if we're really quite honest. So really knowing that you can be present with your kids when you're with them, and so that your work isn't constantly creeping into the everyday. And with mobile devices, tablets and smartphones, it's so easy for you to respond to an email or quickly check your Facebook feed.
Totally agree. I deleted email off my phone. I don't get it on my phone.
Yeah, and I think we've really set up a digital culture where we are literally connected to these devices
24/7.
24/7. And again, from a brain perspective, it's not healthy. Like, our brains literally need calm time. They need unplugged time to function properly. So more than just that too. It's about building connections and building your role as a mum.
Totally agree.
And again, it comes back to that defining, what does success look like to you? Is success being constantly chained to email and having to respond to people? Or is success being able to respond when it's convenient for you or when your business hours are?
And I don't know if you would agree or not, but, we sometimes forget that at the end of the day, we are our own boss.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're not going to let down the boss by not doing it. We are our own boss, so we're in charge, really. So yeah, that's definitely true.
Just on that, really, that being your own boss is such a really important distinction. It dawned on me the other day. I heard somebody talking about you need to run your business like a CEO, and that didn't really shock me because I understood that. But if you're a CEO of your company, you shouldn't be running around like a headless chook making coffee for everybody and doing tasks. And we will get to that. You shouldn't be doing the menial. You need to run your business like you are the CEO. And CEOs take days off. They realize how important the weekend is. So just in terms of having really clear parameters, so literally having work hours and trying where possible. And I know as a mumpreneur, there are days when you've got a teething toddler and your work hours will go out the window, or you might need to go up to school for a concert. And so that's the whole joy of running your business. You need that flexibility, but I also think you need to have some clear guidelines. And again, once you know when your work hours are, you know what's achievable or what's realistic. I think, again, we try and compare ourselves to other entrepreneurs who might have a whole lot more time or who might have a greater scope to do things. So
yeah, you can change your working roster every week. Why not?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. But just knowing what it is so that you're not constantly tied to the desk.
Yeah,
and part of this, in terms of having parameters, and this is something that I have learnt recently, but know how important it is, factoring in self-care. It is just so important for your success, looking after yourself, because your business cannot run itself and cannot be successful if you're not taken care of. It's that whole oxygen mask theory that you have to look after yourself, and as a mumpreneur even more so. And I say this in a safe space because I know you understand.
Yes.
But you cannot be the mum and the partner and the business owner you want to be if your needs aren't met at all. So self-care, I hear other people lately calling it radical self-respect, whatever you want to call it, self-love, whatever it is.
Oh, wow, that's a new one.
Yeah, you need to look after yourself. And for me, I know that that's that's partly why I get up early. I get up early and go to the gym because I know that it doesn't get pushed to the end of the day and never happens. I get up and it's my me time and I feel good about doing it. And it really helps you to function in all capacities because we are juggling so many different things. But I've also factored it into my weekly planner because self-care, so other actions or other self-care items, I actually schedule, and I know that seems really crazy, but I'm doing a 10-minute meditation a day, and I literally have an alert on my phone that will buzz just to remind me you need to do this 10 minutes because otherwise our self-care gets put to the bottom of the pile. So I came up.
Totally agree. We kind of scheduled in doctor's appointments,
yeah,
so why not for self-care? Totally agree.
And it will always happen. If you've got an appointment, you will always make sure that it will happen. So make appointments with yourself. Another thing that works really well, and I heard, trying to think of Emma's last name. I can see it's Emma from Work Life Bliss. And Emma talks about the importance of having white space in your diary. So not overscheduling and having, appointment after appointment or, looking after kids and then doing this, literally blocking out some white space that just gives you either some breathing space or some flexibility. And that's really important. Another really great things, and I think as mums, we often forget what it is that brings us joy and pleasure. But I read somewhere recently about the idea of having a pleasure menu. So having literally a menu of activities that you can select from that really bring you joy, whether, it's having a facial or sitting on the sand or reading a good book or having a bubble bath, whatever it is, ringing a friend and having a giggle, whatever it is that brings you pleasure, having literally just a post-it note or a list of your pleasure menu items.
That's fantastic.
And then when you've got that 10 minutes to spare.
I'm not going to tell my husband about having a pleasure menu.
He'll add himself to the list.
Oh yeah, he'll. Oh yeah, no way.
But I love this. If it isn't scheduled, it doesn't happen, and we all know that with anything. So schedule in your pleasure time and your self-care and your radical self-respect, whatever you want to call it, because it is just so important to being a successful mum and a successful mumpreneur too. So number 6. And this is one I've only just realised, and it is working an absolute treat. So please benefit from this. Outsource what's not in your zone of genius. So figure out what you're really good at, what you're efficient at doing, and what's cost effective for your time, and then outsource what you can't do or it takes you too long to do or that really doesn't light you up. And the simple examples of this are cleaning. If cleaning is really the disdain of your life, outsource it if you can afford it. The biggest and best discovery I've made in the last 2 years are 2 online sources, and I don't know if you've heard of these. Fiverr, spelled Fiverr, and Elance, and they're basically online places where you can outsource anything to do with your business for really, really affordable rates. So they're like an online economy. So I've had my what have I had? I've had video intros. I do a video blog and an audio recording. I've had the intros and the outros of those professionally made. They cost, I think, $15. I would never be able to get that done. If you have to do transcription, so if you have to transcribe, there is a brilliant, that people that will do it at very affordable rates. If you need some formatting done on a document, if you're writing a book and you need formatting done, if you want some help creating a template for a presentation, Fiverr and Elance are your friends. So outsource tasks and anything to do with your business that you're not good at, even things like video editing or uploading or managing your social media. You've got to really think about what is the cost of you actually doing those trivial, menial tasks in your business. Remember, figure out what your hourly, for want of a better word, what your hourly rate is, and then figure out if it's taking you 4 hours to upload a video or edit a video, that's probably not the best use of your time. So for me, I have a really great solution, and again, it came when I honoured the feeling that I couldn't be doing it all. I've got a young girl that comes and helps mind my 12-month-old for 3 hours a week. So she does some nannying work for me. And then for another 2 hours a week, she does some virtual assistant work for me. So she's...
Oh, wow. She's a multi one, is she?
She is, and she's young and enthusiastic, and I trust her, and she's really keen to support me. So for 5 hours a week, I literally look at that and I can get so much done in 5 hours. That it is worth every penny. Now, at first I thought, I don't have the money, it's an expense. It has been literally the turning point in my business. So outsource what's not appropriate and not helpful, what doesn't light you up, and really focus on your zone of genius. What is it that brings in the bacon for your business, and what is it that you're really good at, so that you can get to do more of that. As mums, we don't have the luxury of lots of time, so we have to be really smart about our time.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Next one, number 7, and Bianca, you'll be more of an expert on this, but it really is
one.
And I wished I'd known this, because I'm a big chicken, and if I'd known I had to confront a lot of fears, I probably wouldn't have gone into business for myself. Yeah. But having said that, this is why owning your business is the biggest form of self-development that you'll ever undergo, because it pushes you and stretches you and challenges you in all sorts of ways. So get used to the feeling of being uncomfortable, getting comfortable with your fear. You really will be, as running a business and as a mum, you'll be stretched outside your comfort zone. Things will go wrong, and you'll constantly be problem solving. It's just constantly evolving. But you need to see failure as a stepping stone. Think of it, I love this analogy, think of it like spaghetti. Throw some at the wall, see what sticks, see what doesn't, and test things out. And I've done that. I started off my business trying to work primarily with teachers and educators, and that was great. And I still do a little bit of that, but I have really seen that my work is more relevant and more helpful for parents. So I've literally thrown spaghetti and seen what works.
And now working with the parents, was that something that you kind of feared and you felt more comfortable working with the teachers? And
do you know what? I actually never took the time to actually pause and think about what lit me up. I was too busy just going, and that's so important to have that downtime and the opportunities. And I think that the end of the year is a great time, if your business allows it, to actually stop and pause. I think we go from one thing to the next, and we never actually stop and figure out what's going on.
And that just resonates with going back to getting comfortable with fear when you really think about it, because we do sometimes have this fear of, if I stop, it's not going to get done and everything's going to go into a heap as well. So, yeah, it's like a catch-22, isn't it?
And that's such a... I talk about that as yang energy, that whole idea of male energy. And I hope we don't have any males listening to this. They're going to cuss me. But we've really, as women, we've really taken on that yang, that need to push and strive and achieve and accomplish. And I think we're starting to see that there needs to be a feminine sense of energy. And I know this sounds very woo-woo, and I'm not normally a woo-woo person, but I've started to really explore this idea of energy and some other more alternative ways of thinking. And that's really, and that was one of my other points here, for being careful how I say this. You've really got to learn to let it go. Literally, just stop trying to push and shape and mold your business. Do what you can do, and then step back and know that the universe, or whatever your belief is, will support you.
And that it all comes down to that point, just being comfortable with the fear, you know, and 100%.
And things will go wrong. And I think we again, this comes back to that idea of comparing ourselves to others. Just take what I call imperfect action. It doesn't always have to be perfect. Think progress, not perfection. You just need to be constantly making progress. And I think as mums, we always want to get it right and do the right thing. I think maybe it's a female thing. And I say this as a recovering perfectionist. I know that's not easy, but imperfect action is better than no action at all. And I think I made this mistake early on of waiting for the perfect amount of time to actually get started with things. And, the nap time was never going to be enough. But as mums, you're never going to get huge uninterrupted chunks of time where you can write a book. But sit down for half an hour every day, and over time you will get that time. So it's just about taking that imperfect action and just making steady, gradual progress. So acknowledge that fear is a sign that you're expanding and that you're moving in the right direction, that you're obviously doing something that's challenging you and pushing you. And Rachel McDonald is a beautiful, absolutely divine soul from Spaces in Between.
Yes, yes.
And she writes just the most, and she talks about that. She's got a journal that I don't know if she's updating it for next year, but I'm sure she will. But she's got something called the Spirited Bundle, and she talks about this whole idea. Her and Tara Bliss is another person she writes with, and they talk about that whole idea of acknowledging your fear, but going with it anyway. Number 8, we've sort of touched on, but I'll just recap it here. Expect your business to change, much like when you are pregnant. Your shape will...
I'm so glad you've said this one.
Yes, you would be. You know firsthand. Expect that your business will change. Now, I started off working predominantly with teachers. I'm now working predominantly with parents. The sorts of workshops that I thought would interest parents and the delivery mode has now changed again. And I look back, every 6 to 12 months, my business really does sort of alter itself, but I know that where I am right now is exactly where I need to be, and that's just so exciting. And that comes back to what I said earlier about trusting in the process, just letting go and hoping, knowing that you're heading in the right...
being comfortable with the fear.
Absolutely. So your initial ideas and the model or the idea that you have will evolve over time, just because you do too. And that's what I keep saying. This will be the biggest moment of, but biggest process of self-discovery and learning. You'll know more about your customers' needs over time. So you'll possibly develop more products and services. Just being comfortable with that idea of change. And I know as mums, we often, fear that, I guess. I'm just so glad you've mentioned this one, because it is huge. It is, when you first start, when you have even from when you're in idea phase to then giving birth to your business, then to the first year of business, and then to the second, and it changes, and it's always other doors or other opportunities. And if you're not, open to the expectation of change, then you're only going to stand in one spot with your business. So true. And as mums, motherhood's constantly changing. Just when you've got, the sleeping routine down pat, they go and change on you, or, and so it's both of those things. So that's why, again, goes back to that idea of self-care and self-respect. You need to take time out to nurture you and make sure that you're growing and expanding and adapting too. So number 9 is all about, and I touched on this before, your mindset. And I'm not just talking here about being positive, but really your success in your business. And again, coming back to what that success means for you. But it really is driven by your mindset. And again, I'm preaching to the converted here, B, but you really have to have the mindset down pat. You have to believe in yourself. And this is something I'm still coming to terms with. I grapple with that idea of being called an expert, and it's just something I'm still working on. But I've taken action. I've taken some things to help me build my mindset and that belief in yourself that you are successful and accomplished and can do this. I've tried some kinesiology, which is one of the alternative ways, and that is really great at reformulating some of your entrenched beliefs. I also have done some work with a business intuitive coach. So she's done some intuitive work, helping me align what I'm doing in business with some intuitive ideas. This is a bit of an alternative one, but it works so damn well that I will share it, even if you think I'm a bit crazy. It's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and some people call it tapping. You only need to Google it, and on YouTube will come up with a heap of videos, but it literally is tapping on points of your body to help you release some of your entrenched beliefs in your mindset. Denise Duffield Thomas, she's from Newcastle, if you haven't come across her, but she is huge across the world.
Lucky Bitch?
Lucky Bitch.
Lucky Bitch.
And she's written a couple of books, and her books are great. She's got some free programs on her website you can download and access, some audio files, which are great for busy mums. But she really gets into the nitty-gritty, especially if you've got any sort of money issues and beliefs about, you have to work hard to earn money, or you're not worthy of money, or But she's highly recommend Denise Duffield Thomas, and even her blog. Her blog is brilliant. I think it gets delivered every Thursday.
Yeah, I follow her too. She's very good.
It comes in an email. You get the blog as a written blog. You can download the transcript and the audio and or video format. So great for busy mums.
And it's so nice that you mentioned mindset, because business at the end of the day is a personal reflection of what's going on for yourself as well.
Oh, totally.
So if you don't work on that particular mindset, then it just is going to reflect in your business. So, you know, if you've got a certain belief that's there and it's not, you know, allowing you to reach a particular business goal, well, then, yeah, that's where it's going to stop.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it is really important. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, one good book, really highly recommend this book. It's called The Big Leap by Guy Hendricks. And in The Big Leap, that he talks about, he's a psychologist who talks about basically how we get to... we sabotage ourselves. We have what he calls them upper limits. So we have limiting beliefs that really stifle our progress. Really highly recommend that book, because I won't do it justice here. But know that your mindset is really important. I'm going to finish off with number 10, and it's not the easiest one, but it's by far the most important one. And this is where you need your digital cheer squad, you need your digital friends, you need your family support, and that is just to persevere when the going gets tough, and it does. You know, there are days when you've got... And I had it last week. I had a big project, my Minecraft project, that I needed to get finished off to send to my web person. I had the teething toddler and my 4-year-old who was upset about something. And it's just the day where everything just went wrong. The 12-month-old ate a cake of soap, got his fingers stuck in a drawer. You know, the sorts of days where nothing is going to go right. And you've just got to persevere. And I have learnt this. Often when you don't think you're making momentum, you know, that imperfect action, you might necessarily see the results, but know that you're stacking and you're layering experiences for yourself, but you're also layering experiences for opportunities to present themselves. And I've learnt this, you know, I have had some fantastic opportunities. I've done some work with Optus, with McDonald's. I'm now working with the Nickelodeon channel, and all of those opportunities literally came about because I was, as they'd say, in the right place at the right time. So I delivered a talk, a free talk, to an audience, and somebody from the Nickelodeon channel was there, and they were looking for a parenting and technology expert. Somebody who'd been reading my...
congratulations.
Thank you. Someone that had, and I didn't want to do that talk because I thought I don't have time to do a free talk, blah, blah, blah. I'd been writing my blog, and writing my blog. You know, sometimes I don't get any comments on my blog post, and I think, oh my goodness, why am I spending all this time editing and formatting and uploading a blog and no one's reading it? And I often will go and deliver a talk, and people say, I love your blog, I've been reading it for ages. And it actually came about that the work from McDonald's and Optus came about because people had been reading my blog. So you may not see the results, but know that if you firmly believe in your business, that you'll be stacking and layering these experiences, and the opportunity, trust that the universe will know what's going on and that they'll present themselves. So I want to be honest and just say it's not always easy, and you're going to have some tough days. But in the end, if being a mum is your ultimate goal, then finding a business that's sustainable is the most important part too.
Yeah. Oh, nicely said. And yeah, totally. Yeah, really nicely shared. They're awesome 10 tips. They're fantastic. So. I love them. You should see. I've got my pen and paper, and it's covered. I've got all these links.
I'm pleased. And like I said,
hopefully I'll grab them from you and we can share it, and I'll put it all out there for everybody.
Perfect.
All right. Well, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Still there?
Sorry.
Oh, terrific. No, you're right. No drama. Okay, so these are all your contact details because you have shared some amazing 10 tips, and so everyone, please, can you share your contacts with us, Christy? That's all right.
Yeah, no, please do. So obviously I've got email, my website. So I should have done this right at the beginning, which is really,
No, that's
if you're
fine.
still listening to this, hats off to you. But I help parents, confused and concerned parents, find healthy and helpful ways to raise their kids in the digital age. So I translate the science and the research about what we know about how technology is changing the way kids learn and develop, and I translate that into practical and digestible information for parents. So, you know, should you feel guilty if your child's playing in the iPad, watching TV? What sorts of apps should you be using? How much screen time should they have? When should they be using it? And I share these on my blog through my website. I deliver live workshops. And now I have realised, because my business has morphed and changed, that busy parents don't have time for live workshops. So I am literally, this is a bit of inside information, next year I'm launching calling it a digital library, but a space where parents can come and download information, workshops, anything that has to do with raising kids in the digital age.
And look, everyone out there, you must go on there and have a look. Look, I've had the pleasure of experiencing lots of awesome technology tips from Christy. My favourite one to share with you, just so you all know, was one where and if you'd like to just quickly share it, it was where before dropping off the kids to school or before they go to bed, what the lights on the screen actually do to the brain, and actually changing that in my little routine with my two girls has helped dramatically. They settle so much better when they're going to sleep if they haven't had that technology time before. So yeah, I don't know if you can share that really quickly, just as an example, so people can really appreciate what you do.
Sure. So this is just one of the ways in which I translate the science into what parents really need to know, because we're all time poor. So we actually know that when kids and adults too, you should try it, but when we use screens in especially the 90 minutes before we go to bed, especially if we're using mobile devices, these tablet devices and smartphones are backlit, so they emit something called blue light, and blue light stops your body from making melatonin, and melatonin is what your body needs to fall asleep quickly. So often we see that if children have been using screens before bed, that it takes them longer to fall asleep. So we call these sleep delays, and over time these sleep delays accumulate into a sleep deficit or a sleep debt. So kids are getting less and less sleep because they're using these screens. And the same thing when they're using screens before school, it can often overexcite them and hyperstimulate them. So we often say don't necessarily have to avoid, but be really careful about what they're doing on screens before those two times. They're really important before school and before they go to sleep.
No, look, I could talk about it for ages with you.
Likewise.
Just that one little thing, seriously, just really helps.
That's excellent.
A lot, so I really appreciate it.
No problem.
So look, thank you so much, and I hope that everyone out there that has either watched this, I know we've taken up about looking at the time, about an hour of your time and an hour of Christy's time, but in saying that, the purpose of it all at the end of the day is to support, inspire and connect for you out there as a mum entrepreneur in your entrepreneurial world. And if you haven't yet joined the Central Coast Mum Entrepreneur Facebook group, please jump on there. All the links are on there with the written blurb on the YouTube where this is uploaded. And yeah, we'll try and, if you are watching this and you'd like the contacts or the information that Christy has shared with us, please, contact her directly. I'm sure she's more than happy to actually share that, and we'll try to upload some information. So thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing, and so nice to hear how you've birthed and then rebirthed. Not only your business but children and all that, so that's just fantastic.
Pleasure. My
Terrific.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll do another one of these.